Hi, I'm Patty.
I'm Kim Michelle.
And I'm Jill. Welcome to our podcast. It's a great day to talk.
Because honestly, what day isn't a great day to talk?
So join us in our conversation.
A Great Day to Talk is brought to you by St. George Design, offering complete website design, social media management, search engine optimization, Google and Facebook ad management, and many other digital and print marketing services. stgeorgedesign.com. And by Richardson Brothers Custom Homes, third-generation builders who have been building custom homes in southern Utah for over 25 years. They will take your dream home from concept to completion. Contact richardsonbrothers.com.
Hello, all
Hello?
our dear friends. Hello, hello. That was really loud.
I know. I feel
Hello?
like there's.
Am I?
it's super
Hello?
loud.
I'm feeling like I had the microphone right in my face, more than in my face. Hello, my dear friends. Hello, all of our dear friends out there. How are you tonight? We hope everyone is well with this new season of changing of the time.
It's dark out there.
It's dark.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. We are so glad you're here. We are A Great Day to Talk. Here on my right is the lovely Patricia. And
Hello.
on her right, my other right, is our sweet friend Kim Michelle. We're
Hello.
so glad to see all of us together again.
We are.
This is 2 weeks in a row. I'm so
I
grateful for that.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just follow up a little bit. Kim Michelle, how was Keith's funeral this weekend?
It was so lovely. It really was. And just such an honor to pay tribute to a veteran and to such a hard worker, and to hear such wonderful stories and spend time with family, which he would have so been delighted about. And he was a little bit of a rascal, honestly.
Oh, did you hear
learned
some
that?
stories?
I did hear some
Oh,
stories.
fun.
Tell us one.
Yeah.
Tell us one.
I don't want to get, what is the, I guess if he's passed, he can't be arrested and jailed. So,
Well,
but
Postmortem.
I will tell one little story that around one thing that he bonded with around my sister was that they both hate Spam, which there may be many people that can relate with that. But my sister happens to have all of these Marshallese kind of children that love Spam. And so that's
Genetic.
kind of weird in and of itself. But the
don't know.
reason that Keith did was because he was a firefighter, and they got caught in a back behind the line of a fire, and they had to kind of wait it out, and they were all safe, but they didn't have any food rations, and so they dropped in some food rations for them, and all they had were old food rations, and they parachuted them into them. They dropped them into them, but all they were fruit cake and Spam.
Oh my
That's all they
gosh.
had was old fruit cake and Spam. So I don't have that story, and I still don't like Spam. So I'm going to for the future refuse to eat Spam and refuse to eat fruitcake out of my
Marshallese
love
kind
and
of
devotion for Keith.
Stephanie, I was going to say the very
I
same
was too. I'm
thing.
all Marshallese kind of children.
I
Well,
love
yes.
that. I held my tongue. I held my tongue because it was a story about Keith and I wanted to hear it.
Yeah, and
Oh.
Stephanie has every right to laugh
That
about
is
that.
so perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. That's
Well, they're
great.
like,
they're sort of kind of like
Tonganese kind of children, and what other kind of children?
Beautiful
Hawaiian kind of children.
So, do you think that taste preference is genetic?
Well, when we went over to do our adoption of Taylor in the Marshall Islands, we took, oh gosh, I want to say like 200 cans of Spam in our
Wow.
suitcase to give as a gift.
As a token.
I'm thinking, like, will they still allow us to adopt? Because if that was a gift, I would give it back, right? But it was
well received.
Well received, yes.
I have to tell you, I have to be honest. I was raised
Yes.
with Spam.
Yes, thank you, D. Scott Pullen, who said, I believe she meant kind Marshallese children. That's
Yes.
exactly
Yes.
what I meant, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah.
We just have to flip the order.
Oh
of the
my
words.
gosh.
That's so great. Okay, that's cracking me up. But about me, back to me.
Yes.
So yeah, my mom loved Spam.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, actually, I don't think my dad ate it before, like maybe he went on a mission for his church. And my mom's from the South, and it must have been a thing because all of her siblings liked it. And so fried Spam
Yeah.
Yeah.
on white bread
Oh.
with mustard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I can still remember the little key that you would use
Yeah.
to
Oh,
stick
right,
in the
to
side, and you would twist
open
it
it
around
up.
the can
And
to
it would
open
roll up.
Yep.
Or yeah.
Oh
my son-in-law
gosh.
loves it, and they make it's kind of like a Spam sushi.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I saw Spam sushi for the first time when I was in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
To this
thought-
day.
Yeah, they still have
Huge.
that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I
not a
don't-
thing.
Yeah. Well, shout out to all of my students who are I'm not going to say Marshallese kind of children, but have that influence in their life because
They love it.
they're making it and coming to school and selling it.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Spam sushi?
Spam
Yeah.
sushi.
Oh, yeah.
At
With the
school.
seaweed and the
Yeah,
rice.
yeah,
and
the rice.
oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Wow.
I can't remember. I apologize. They're all going to give me a tutorial at school.
Oh,
I'm sure
musubi.
tomorrow in 5th period on the
Musubi.
pronunciation. Mm-hmm.
Musubi.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Thank you, Stephanie. You're a wealth of knowledge here that
Stephanie,
I lack.
Tonight, our
That is
guest,
it.
our guest on
Stephanie.
the podcast
On the
tonight is
podcast.
Stephanie. Thank
That's
you for
right.
joining us
That's
and
exactly
being our guest tonight.
what they're selling for
Musubi.
$2 a roll.
Two
So if you'd like to
dollars.
pre-order, you can go through me, and I'll just take something off the top of my student. Is that legal?
Yeah, it
Can I
is.
do
It
that?
is.
I don't know why
Okay.
not.
Teachers
There you
got to
go.
do what they got to do
That's
to make
right.
some money.
Exactly.
Is it sticky rice?
It is
Yeah.
sticky rice. Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask Ethan and Kitty because they're all sushi
Yeah.
Right.
experts and
Yep.
rice experts.
Yeah.
So I'll have to find
They
out
Every
down
year
low
at
on that
Christmas, we still get Taylor some kind of Spam something.
item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's
Boxers or.
incredible. Right. I
know.
can still smell it.
Mhm.
When it was fried, it reminded me of fried bologna, which was another one of my mom's southern favorite southern.
Mhm.
Always mustard, always white bread.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like fried bologna.
You know, back in I can't lie. Back in the day, I didn't mind it either.
We when I'd go to my grandparents for a treat, it would be bread and milk. You would break up
That's my
bread
dad.
in a glass and
Uh-huh.
pour milk on it and eat it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Is
some
that you add
raisins.
molasses?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
Raisins, and that's I
Is
don't like
milk,
that.
Is that like milk toast? I don't
I
know
don't
what
know.
milk toast is. Does anyone know what milk toast is?
I don't know what milk toast is, but growing up, I would get
Stephanie?
hot chocolate, bread and butter, hot toasted bread and butter, and then I would dip my toast in my hot chocolate.
Really?
Yeah, I would still do that today if I
Okay,
could.
here's another one. Did you guys eat onion sandwiches
with sage.
no, but with Miracle Whip
Oh,
of all things?
I grew up
No.
on Miracle Whip, but
I did too. We
don't
talked about
do
this
Miracle Whip
recently,
now.
didn't we?
I don't know.
The milk bread is called
Pappy
Pappygaki. Okay, so is the milk bread? Is it Stephanie? Is it milk in a bowl with bread or with milk, or bread in a bowl with milk poured over the top?
That's how my dad eats it.
That okay, but is that milk bread? That's what I want to know. Is that like, because I've heard in literature, I've read, milk bread, milk toast in a lot of places, but I've never known what it is. I'm going to admit that. In context, I've assumed that it's milk in or bread over milk.
Huh.
Somebody?
I don't know that. I was
Austin, you can't post unless you have the answer to the milk bread.
Well, I was going to just ask Austin to ask Kyle what his Spam sushi, what he calls his Spam sushi, because I don't know if it's musubi.
I don't know.
Well, if he's not calling it that, then he's just
Wrong.
plain out.
It's called spam sushi. I don't know.
oh my gosh,
yeah.
how did we get to spam
Musubi.
sushi?
I don't know.
Welcome to our life.
Yeah.
Welcome to the three of us and the squirrel moments.
Now go out in the world and just, throw those words around and let everyone else say, hey, where did you learn about
The
that?
old stale
Stephanie,
bread was.
thank you.
Oh, musubi. Thank you, Austin.
There
Okay,
you
was
go.
first
See,
the
stale
reason to
bread
make it edible.
Mhm.
was first the reason to make it edible. Okay,
That's
so
right.
that
Okay.
makes total sense.
The milk
Total
bread.
total
Oh,
sense.
it's like when you use your older bread for French toast, I
and
guess.
for bread
Right.
pudding.
Right. And
Right.
stuffing.
If
Yeah.
you were to make things like that, which
If
I
yeah.
don't.
I went to the grocery store yesterday for the first time in about 3 weeks, and it was because I needed to take a salad to a dinner. And I didn't we
That's-
just can't do that.
It's kind of crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to tie this all together. Keith, that you learned that about Keith that's where the spam came from.
The spam and the fruit cake
And the fruit cake.
together.
100% forgot what we were talking about. And when you said I'm going to tie this together, and I'm like, oh, the
I'm
time
gonna
change.
take the
Oh, no,
long
Keith.
road back.
Usually
So
it's served in hot
okay, so
milkshake.
you
Oh.
learned about Keith, and you had
Yeah.
it was a great.
It was
experience
lovely.
For everyone.
It was lovely. It
Yeah.
really was a beautiful tribute to him. The veterans were there. He got the 21 gun salute, and they played taps,
Oh,
and
that's fantastic.
it was lovely.
Well,
yeah.
and tomorrow's Veterans Day, so happy
Yep.
Veterans Day, Keith.
Absolutely.
And to all of our loved ones and people we don't know, everyone out there who's a veteran or loves a veteran, happy Veterans Day.
Yep, all are currently serving in the
Yep.
military forces, and we have a ton of ROTC in our school. I'm sure
Yep.
you do
Mhm,
too,
we do.
and so just acknowledging all of them.
You guys knew that my dad served in Vietnam, right?
And mine.
And your dad did too. Yes, because we've talked about this a lot. So my dad, I'm actually the trophy child of my parents' Vietnam experience. My mom and dad were newlyweds, and my mom got pregnant when he was between boot camp and leaving for Vietnam, and wanted to get pregnant. And lo and behold, I'm the trophy child. So
Well,
Do
you
they-
are quite an
I-
award.
Do
I am
they
more than
still
a ward.
think that?
well, of course they better. My mom, wherever you are in heaven, my mom, I know that I'm still the trophy child. Although when I had that conversation with my mom, I was so mad at them. How in the world could you want to get pregnant knowing he might not come home? What if you were a single mother and I would la 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 la? And she looked at me and said, I just wanted a piece of your dad. What if he didn't come home?
Oh,
And I get that, and then I laughed because it's like, you got me.
yeah.
That would have been fun for you if he hadn't come home.
My dad was in Vietnam when I was born, and I was there. I was like a month late, but I think they must have got the dates wrong because. I
Oh
wasn't-
no, I'm
You
sure
weren't-
you were a
you
month
weren't-
late.
Well, and
You weren't a 12-pound baby, though.
well, I mean, I'm always a day late and $1 short, so I might have started out that way. But my dad wasn't able to. He wasn't supposed to leave Vietnam, and I was born, and he like boarded some plane and snuck out and got home,
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
and then got to see me, and then had to go back.
to
and
go
somehow
back.
figured it out.
That's crazy. We've talked about that because your dad and my dad have both experienced and suffered from Agent Orange.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My
Exposure.
dad's diabetes and whatever else.
His hearing and
Yep.
that, my dad's diabetes and his skin cancers and his hearing stuff as well, and prostate cancer. That
Yeah.
who knew? We didn't know that until he got it. That was another side effect of Agent Orange. And again, tying this back to Keith, thank
Who
you,
was also
Keith.
a veteran. Thank
Yes.
you, Keith.
Uh-huh.
And I'm so
was.
glad that you guys made it home. And I sure think about your mom a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I know just feels so blessed to have been able to have those years with him, and she's going to be sad,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and I don't we're going to encapsulate her the best way we can and support her and make sure that I think it's going to lead right into what we're talking about today, that it's okay to be sad around what you've lost, and then know that to be sad is just honoring what you had.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And don't lose track of that in the sadness. Don't lose the reason you're sad is because you had something beautiful to celebrate, and don't lose track of that in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So I just have to put out a plug for the time change, because I know most people don't like this time change because it gets dark so early. And I also don't like that it gets dark so early, but I have a hard time getting up in the morning when it's so dark.
Right.
So I was actually looking forward to this time change because I thought it would help me get up a little bit.
Yeah.
And
And it has.
oh,
Yeah.
so you're
getting up.
all cheery.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be mad in a minute when I walk outside.
You're
and it's
positive
dark.
Patty in the morning.
Yep. Practically perfect in every way.
Oh, look, Judd gave us our official toast, usually buttered, served with hot milk with sugar or salt and pepper. Salt and pepper?
Yeah.
Well, if you like savory.
I
Yeah.
guess. I guess. I don't know.
And as a trophy daughter, you're also a trophy wife.
We've got lots of fun comments, silly
I
comments
know.
I
tonight.
know. So if you are not with us live, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because we're just a party.
We are a
So-
party.
Thank you, honey. Thank you, honey.
And you could be having a positive party with Patty early in the
Ooh,
morning.
Great alliteration.
Right. Right. Alliteration.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, okay, so friends, this whole idea of this time change happening this week, I think, is a great place to start. And talking about what this time change means. I've already mentioned it's early darkness. And I mean, for the next couple of weeks, it'll be lighter in the morning, but then we're going to be back to
Dark and
dark, which
Yeah.
is part of this whole seasonal transition, right? And in thinking about this seasonal transition into winter, we're going from fall to winter. I know that for me, wintering or being in the winter has always been really hard. My seasonal affective disorder does not approve of winter. It does not approve of lack of sunshine. And I know that for a lot of us, it's like that. And I also know that for others, it's a time of celebration. It's also a time of introspection. And, I think that talking about that, like this whole season of the winter and how we move into it and what it means in all sorts of ways is a interesting idea to talk about.
Yeah.
So
Because winter is coming.
winter is coming. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, and I think recognizing that, okay, winter's coming. It's not my favorite. I do need the sun. I do like the sun. I don't own a proper coat. And I don't even wear a coat when I need a coat because
Right.
I don't want one.
Right.
I'm trying to will not having to have a coat. But so knowing that's coming, how can we prepare for it so it's not doom and gloom?
It's there's a book that I read that was recommended to me from my dear friend Susan, who is one of the wisest women next to all y'alls, of course, but she's truly
That's a given.
Yeah.
she is
no.
truly an incredibly
I've met her. She's smarter than me, not you.
That was a nice cover. Positive Patty.
Actually, Kim Michelle, you've met Susan too at my house at gatherings. She's beautiful, tall, statuesque.
Yes.
She is amazing English professor. She's so
At DSU.
At DSU, she's so well read. She's so. She has all the right stuff, and she had recommended this book to me, and we've been talking about it. It's called Wintering: The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. So the concept, I'm just going to read the little summary because I never do justice to introducing a book. My words are never as smooth as what the publishers put together. So it says, an intimate revelatory book exploring the ways we can care for and repair ourselves when life knocks us down. Sometimes you slip through the cracks. Unforeseen circumstances like an abrupt illness, the death of a loved one, a breakup, or a job loss can derail a life. These periods of dislocation can be lonely and unexpected. For May, her husband fell ill, her son stopped attending school, and he was young, and her own medical issues led her to leave a demanding job. Wintering explores how she not only endured this painful time, but embraced the singular opportunities it offered. A moving personal narrative shot through with lessons from literature, mythology, and the natural world. May's story offers instructions on the transformative power of rest and retreat. Illumination emerges from many sources. Solstice celebrations, which is one of the reasons I completely connected with this book, and Dormant's hibernation, C.S. Lewis and Sylvia Plath swimming in icy waters and sailing the Arctic seas. Ultimately, the book Wintering invites us to change how we relate to our own fallow times. May models an active acceptance of sadness and finds nourishment in deep retreat, joy in the hushed beauty of winter, and encouragement in understanding life as cyclical, not lineal or linear. My goodness.
Right.
She forms a guiding philosophy for transforming the hardships that arise before the ushering in of a new season. And I've listened to this book a couple of times, and she reads it. She's got the most amazing British accent, which always is easy to listen to for me. But the way she has the book laid out is in months. So the prologue begins in September, October, November, December, January, February, March, and then the epilogue is in late March, which she calls the thaw.
So is her position that you can winter really at any time, or is she saying that wintering is it is
Exclusive.
seasonal within the calendar, or that wintering is not related to the calendar and it is actually related more to the period of time when you're facing what we would consider a wintering time in your life?
So funny you should say that,
Well,
which is perfect. Like that was not planned at all.
No, it's not.
Because the very first
No, it
Nothing is
really no
planned.
plan.
No,
nothing is
it truly was not planned. But this first chapter in September, the prologue is titled Indian Summer. Some winters happen in the sun. This particular one began on a blazing day in early September, a week before my 40th birthday.
Okay.
Which is caught me immediately because one of my major winters occurred the week of my 50th birthday. And it was within a couple of weeks after that my mom died.
And the month for you
Was March.
Yeah. Okay.
And she goes on to tell the story about how they were at the beach in the English Channel. They were with friends celebrating her birthday. She has a young son. They were all together. She says, I look at the photos I have of that day and they now seem absurd. High on a sense of my own becoming, I snapped the seaside town bathed in a warmth of an Indian summer. And that day, her husband, at this idyllic seaside, H was already complaining that he felt sick. It didn't signify much. I had found that parenting a young child brings one long succession of germs into the house, which cause sore throats, rashes, blocked noses, and stomach aches. He wasn't even making a fuss. But after lunch that he couldn't eat, we walked up to the playground. He disappeared for a while. My friends came to me and said, we think he's really sick. And she was kind of like, are you sure? She tried to sound sympathetic, but it was such a nuisance. They had come to this place. It had taken so much work. They were living these really busy lives, et cetera, et cetera. Got home, went and sat in the emergency room for many hours. They finally, they hadn't moved him into a ward. She had to go home because of their child. And during that time, in the morning, it had gotten way worse. And he was fevering. They couldn't get him into anything. They couldn't give him any medication because the nurses were changing shifts, et cetera, et cetera. And then his appendix burst, and he felt it. And from that, he went into a state of serious illness.
Yeah.
And so this next time period was a blur for her. She was running hither and yon, taking care of the child, being at the hospital. Her job was really demanding. And she said that I kept up my vigil all week between school drop-offs and collections. I was there for the surgeons explaining the extent of the infection. Sorry, I'm reading, but I won't paraphrase it well.
Well, what if you did paraphrase it well?
Then I wouldn't be able to, because I just want this one little piece. Bear with me on this one little piece. His temperature was rising, or it was refusing to fall. His blood oxygen levels failing to return to normal. I helped him take slow walks around the ward. I changed him into clean clothes. I brought him tiny quantities to eat. I tried to soothe his fear, or my son's fear of his father. Hooked up to so many wires and tubes. And somewhere in the middle of this catastrophe, a space opened. And she was kind of like looking at all this craziness going on. And it was almost like she realized she had to let herself be in it, but then know that she was going to have a time where she just like kind of lost it afterwards. So she got to a point where she says, only a week ago, I'd given notice at my job. This was all going on at the same time. Only a week ago, which, a week before her 40th, I'd given notice at my job as a university lecturer, hoping to find a better life outside the perpetual stress and noise of the contemporary university. And now here I was taking compassionate leave during the busy weeks at the start of a term. There was no doubt that I was stretching everyone's patience, but there was no one else who could sort this mess out. I had just published my first book in 6 years and had another imminent deadline. My son had only returned to school after being on a long summer holiday, and I had all the usual maternal worries about his ability to handle the challenge. Change was happening. So she talks about, at this point, finding that she said there are gaps in the mesh of everyday world, and sometimes we open up and you fall through them into somewhere else. And then she capitalizes somewhere else as a location. Somewhere else runs at a different pace to the here and now, where everyone else carries on. Somewhere else is where ghost lives, concealed from view and only glimpsed by people in the real world. Somewhere else exists at a delay so that you can't quite keep pace. Perhaps I was already teetering on the brink of somewhere else anyway, but now I fell through as simply and discreetly as dust shifting between the floorboards. I was surprised to find that I felt at home there. Winter had begun. Mm-hmm. So she says that winters are inevitable. There are all sorts of experiences and times in our life where we really do have to winter, and maybe it comes when the big event, whatever, has kind of not tapered, but maybe settled or slowed, or the up and down, the craziness of it all has balanced out. And the ability or the need for us to kind of go internal to really kind of work things out for ourselves kind of reminds me of, a hibernation.
And is that what she defines winter as, is just going
Resting.
Within yourself and
within yourself?
Yep, the power of rest and retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And how understanding that there's no shame in rest and retreat.
Mm-hmm.
That continuing on and pretending as if nothing is happening is damaging, because that rest and retreat will come.
In
some
some
form,
form, yeah, regardless.
Right.
Of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about something you said earlier today, Kim Michelle, and for those of you that are just jumping in, we're talking today about wintering and the seasons that are changing and the time change and what all that brings. But earlier, Kim Michelle was talking about how we aren't living in the moment because we're already looking at Friday, or when's the next day I have off? Holiday, the Thanksgiving.
Right. We're already looking at Christmas
Right.
decorations
Right.
in our stores, and
Yeah.
we're not even to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and so it's almost like hurrying to this wintering
Mm-hmm.
instead of day at a time easing in and becoming used to it or accustomed to the time changes, the temperature changes, the daylight. I know, it's 8:00 at night and it's dark outside, it feels like midnight, and it's only an hour and we just have to acclimate. So I think it would be nice to try and ease into winter a step at a time, and like, what's today? And you know what? We really can't complain where we live
Right.
because our winters are so
Well, that's
mild.
why I moved here.
Lovely.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly
I
why I
love
moved
it.
here.
And my kids live up north, and we always will go golfing in December and send them pictures, or
Right. Because that's what we do. We
Yeah.
have to rub it into our
we have to
friends
rub
that
it
are
in.
away.
But I did like that. We're not living today.
In the experience of now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was it's interesting you say that, because I was having a conversation with a couple of our friends in our department this morning as we were standing outside our doors waiting for our kiddos to come in, and I said, I am working really hard at not counting down.
Yeah, you said that to me today too.
Yeah, and it's kind of tricky, and I mean it's been kind of tricky. I really, everything that she describes in that little prologue, getting into it, reminds me of sort of how my summer that my mom died went, and that summer after she died, she died in April, and then it was a lot of making sure everybody else was okay. And I hit a point in August, like 2 weeks before school start, where I just kind of fell apart and had to check out of things for a while. And I don't know that I allowed myself to check out long enough, because then the next summer when Kate died, then it was really, you need to just go
Rest and retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after your mom passed, you didn't give yourself that time because you were taking care of everyone else or making sure
Hoping
everybody
was
is okay. And, you're a person too.
I heard that from someone today.
Right?
I actually heard that from someone today.
Did.
Someone very wise who can tell me things. And I go, okay.
Okay.
Actually, it wasn't today. It was yesterday. But
Right.
yeah. But that's the thing about this idea about the wintering. Yeah, she sets it up along the calendar line. But I think that that's symbolic to help us recognize that it's not just, we aren't the only ones that need to allow that self. The earth does that. The earth does it. And she talks about how the animals don't fight against it. They just prepare for it.
Right.
And
it's expected.
it's expected.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
So let me ask you this. When she is talking about the retreat, right, and to give yourself that ability to be able to retreat, how does the rest of the world function then?
Right.
When you're in retreat? I mean, when you
Right.
give yourself that opportunity to rest and retreat, then how does the rest of the world continue to spin on its axis, Jill,
I know,
when you're
right?
in retreat?
this is yet again part of the conversation I was having yesterday with a very wise person, because I create my own. Is chaos the right word, or my own?
Busyness.
Busyness.
Yeah, because we're valued by how busy we are.
And that has always been a really big thing for me. It's always been. I mean,
Production.
And how busy and how stressful am I? If I'm not, then I'm not getting enough done.
If you're well rested, then you're lazy.
Yeah, right. So what was suggested was that it takes some really hard decisions. And it takes a lot of, and for her, she quit her job. And not everyone's in a position to do that.
Right.
And she wasn't necessarily in a position to do that either. So it's this idea of making choices based on what's needed. And that's not what she's proposing at all. She's not proposing how anyone does it. She just shares how she went through and worked through understanding this wintering process. But looking at how we prioritize things, and do we allow too many things into our list?
Absolutely, we do.
What are things that really, what is it that is necessary? And to me, of course, everything's necessary. I mean,
Right,
I just like,
Right. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say what gets in the way of us wintering.
there you go.
And I'm going to say what gets in the way of me being able to rest and retreat is myself. I'm my worst enemy in that regard, but I have FOMO. So if somebody's doing something, it would probably serve me to stay home and take a nap, or stay home and get some things done, or rest and retreat, but I don't want to miss out.
Right. Well, and
So
here's the other thing.
I get in my own way.
Here's the other thing too, Patty, that adds on to that is the other idea of I should stay home and get some things done
Yeah. Instead of play.
instead of, and not even
Or
play,
rest and
like
retreat.
just sit and be, and
Yeah.
that's something that I was reading just in the last couple of days. The idea of when is the last time you have sat down and done nothing? That doesn't mean sit down and watch TV. That doesn't mean sit down and read a book. That doesn't mean sit down and do things like that. It means just sit down and think, and not get wound up in the thinking, but just being in a space, and who in the hell has time to do that? That's like my first reaction.
I don't even know what that's like. What would I just sit there? I don't even know.
Well,
Yeah, because the minute you sit down, you either grab your phone and check something
Right.
out, or if I
start making a list.
I absolutely know I'm getting more and more distracted by things than I used to.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
more
need to
squirrel
have
moments.
that. Yeah, we need to have that sit and train our brains to sit and chill.
Yeah. How about you, Kim Michelle?
I'm just,
You look perplexed.
I am perplexed. Yeah, because even in the conversation about just, not reading, for example.
Right.
But what if reading for just sheer enjoyment, not because you need to read it
Have
for a
to.
class, not because you're trying to figure out what to do for your next boom club or anything like that, but you're just reading because that is what at
Brings
one
you.
point in your life just brought you sheer joy.
Right.
Then would that be retreat or no?
Well, don't you think you get to choose what retreat is for your
Well,
own
that's-
self, though?
Yeah, I think you, well, yes, because I think nobody else can decide that for you.
Right.
Right.
At some level. So,
Go ahead.
I just think that it sounds like such a luxury,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
right? And I'm just like,
Extra time is a luxury. Time
I'm
is
thinking
a
of my
commodity.
sister, and I'm thinking, Stephanie, you just need to retreat.
Right.
Just have
tell
all the
those
kids go in the
16
other
kids.
room. Just tell them it's okay.
Yeah.
Mom will be with you in a minute.
And I'm sure my husband is like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to tell Kim Michelle when she gets home, honey, you just need to retreat. And then
Right.
I'm going to run as fast.
Yeah.
He's like,
do
and
it.
then I'm going to run in the
Right.
opposite direction from her as I possibly can, because I think I can totally embrace the idea around it. And I think I can even coach around it. Coach
But
someone to
else.
it
Yep.
around it.
But
And then when I look at where my life is right now in this particular season, it's hard for me to see how I would finagle a hibernation in
Right.
this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though every ounce of me
needs it.
is telling myself, well, you're either going to choose it or I will choose it for you.
You may end up in the somewhere else, which is what she calls it, the capitalized somewhere, capital else. Runs at a different pace to here and now, where everybody else carries on. Somewhere else is where ghost lives, concealed from view and only glimpsed by people in the real world. Somewhere else exists at a delay so that you can't quite keep pace. Maybe I was already teetering on the brink of somewhere else anyway, but now I fell through, she says, as simply and discreetly as dust settling between the floorboards. I was surprised to feel that I felt at home there, and winter had begun.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite things about winter, Kim Michelle?
Well, I love my fireplace. So that is, I would say that's a favorite part of winter. I love that the jazz play in winter. So that's a favorite. So, there are things that I do really love about winter. And I wouldn't say they're hibernation elements of winter.
Right.
I would say that they're active, still very active parts of winter. So this is I'm still embracing winter, but I'm not embracing it as a retreat.
No, not
Do you
yet.
see what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I'm still,
Busy.
yes, I'm still
yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you ask me that question, that's a very intuitive question because I'm in the thinking, right? I'm in the very clear space of, gosh, what does that mean for me?
Yeah. Right.
What
Right.
does that look like for me? And I don't think that I would be the only one listening to this. I wouldn't think that is very much in that space going, wow, that really sounds wonderful from what I hear. And obviously there's a whole lot I don't know, appreciate, or understand about it. And gosh, it seems like such a luxury
Right.
that I don't know what that would look like in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where we ask ourselves, what's getting in the way? And you and I talked the other day as well, Jill, about how you had taken a break from 2 classes a week that you were going to, and suddenly those days just filled themselves up.
Right.
So before that was that priority, and you made the time for that, and then when you took a break from it, something else got in there. You didn't retreat or relax.
No.
So
That was part of the conversation yesterday. Yeah.
Why do we fill up every second? And why are we validated by our busyness and our tiredness and our, retreating? And, for me growing up, I mean, you couldn't do, it was
had to
unheard
do.
of to go do something for yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I was raised too. And, Kim
I'm
Michelle,
sure
we were
you were
talking
too.
about that. We were just talking about that recently, about this whole idea of what is it that we're getting. We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
yeah.
What is it we're getting from, like for you, it was being late. What is it that we are, that's internal, that we aren't recognizing that we need, that we get from whatever it is? And that's been, been really thinking about that for myself.
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer, which is why, what did I do when I had to kind of go underground when my mom died, and then again when Kate died, what did I do? I mean, I cut back on stuff, but I didn't stop working. I didn't stop taking care of the things that needed to be taken care of. But I also think that I got more angry and tired.
Yeah.
So that really goes back to your book. Getting angry and tired is going to happen if you don't spend the time necessary to rest and retreat.
It's the somewhere else. I'm really liking this definition, or this place that she's identified as somewhere else. Runs at a different pace. We can't keep up with the real world. It's on a delay, so you can't quite keep pace. It was kind of like that for me. Kind of like you know how you feel when you're kind of just dragging behind without being tired. It's just like heavy drag behind, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the idea of wintering, her book also gave me a really a different perspective on how I can look at winters, because you guys know how much I hate the winter. And I really believe too, because of my dislike for the winter and my seasonal affective disorder, that that's where my delight in having these winter celebrations, you know, with Hallowmas and Yule Day and Bride's Day, where they have come from.
So you have
it's
moments to celebrate and look
moments to
forward
celebrate, and it's about the bringing back of the light of the sun and
The rebirth.
making sense of the darkness. You know, Yule Day is saying goodnight to Mother Earth, and we'll wait for you to wake in the spring, because you will come back. And it's like a different twist on it for me, as opposed to, oh my gosh, it's so long until the daylight savings comes again.
Yeah.
Right,
you know?
right.
But it's helped me. Reading the book has helped me in so many ways. One of the biggest being my rephrasing of how I look at winter.
Yeah, I think that's powerful in and of itself, and I think the conversation is important, even if I'm not grasping all of it.
Well, you haven't read the book, right?
Well, absolutely. And I don't have to grasp all of it to at least be in the place to say, okay, so what is the awareness I have now that I can start with? Because sometimes I can find myself in a place where I need to make sure that I understand it all before I do anything, right?
Yep.
The one thing I know is very clearly, what is it that I'm saying yes to that it would serve me to say no to?
Yep.
I can start that now. Right now,
Not
because
with
I
us.
know those things. No, not with you, but I know that is part of that winterizing process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That I don't have to understand it all to know that is part of preparing myself for winter. Is, preparing myself for that hibernation is to start to say, okay, what is it that I'm saying yes to that it would serve me to say no to in preparation for that space.
Right.
Right. I don't have to have everything else figured out.
Nope.
That is something I can
Do now.
yes, that I can step into now, and that will serve me, period.
Yep.
Right.
So that's where I commit to start.
I like it.
Yeah.
I am working on that too.
Yeah.
That's been my practice, and that's what I'm working on with my Thanksgiving Day meal list.
Oh, very good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Well, Jill, thank you for
Yeah.
talking us through that. And I think next week we could come back and talk about what we did this week that led us
Yeah.
to be more prepared for winter, as far mentally prepared.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and
Whatever winter
physically.
looks like.
I'm
Whatever
collecting my nuts.
Love it.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for all the comments tonight and all the good information. And we will hopefully see you next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Have a great
thanks,
week.
guys.
Thank you.
Happy
I see
week.
that, Scott. I see it. Love you, honey.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to It's a Great Day to Talk.
Be sure to follow and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform.
And until next week,
Get out there and talk.
This has been a production from a podcast studio.